All right. Well, good evening and welcome. If you have arrived here, you're at the Be On Air Forum, and we're so happy to have you here. I apologize. My name is Linda Lejeski. I'm the one that always greets you every other week, but my camera is not working perfect right at the Filmmakers Roundtable. But I'm going to say a quick hello to everybody, and then I'll turn the mic over to our team here. So, as I said, I'm Linda Lejeski, and I'm the National Employer Representative of the Be On Air Network of Media Schools. I'm excited to be your host for tonight's session, and I look forward to learning with our pros who have come to join us in the roundtable. The forum is a career service initiative created to connect our students, our graduates, and our extended community with real media professionals and provide you access to tools, insights, and inspiration you might need to grow your career. We're now in our fourth year, and we like to say every episode how proud we are to be in our fourth year. This is an every other week forum, and it is just so wonderful to know that there are so many industry experts that like to hop onto this 1 hour, share their expertise and insight, and really help you so you can move along in your career aspirations. We would like to remind you that you can check us out on YouTube. We're live streaming on YouTube right now. We have a full library of great media guests that have joined us over the past several years. As we move through the webinar, I invite you to use the chat. You'll see a chat option. Go ahead, don't be shy. Let us know who you are, where you're from, and what campus. If you're attached to a campus, we'd love to know that. And let's build our professional circle while we join the forum. Tonight, we are very excited to welcome our filmmakers to the roundtable. And it's really exciting because they are all independent filmmakers that started out with an idea and have worked extremely hard to wind up where they're at right now, each on a little different journey in their career. And so Tony's going to be asking them some great questions that are going to give you a lot of insight. We have Cyrus Richardson out of Columbus. Cyrus is a graduate of Ohio Media School. Raheem, the creative Shepard, is joining us out of Columbus. Raheem also is a graduate of Ohio Media School. He's an instructor and he's an indie film guru, expert creator. We're glad to have you here with us, Raheem. And then we have Ari Lawson out of Chicago. And Ari, too, is a graduate of our program and an indie filmmaker. And she works alongside Tony in the Chicago market. And you all know Tony. Tony is our wonderful man of all seasons. Tony is a graduate of Illinois Media School. He is a moderator of the Be On Air Forum. He is the education coordinator at the Chicago campus, a podcast host, a TikTok sensation, just an all-around great guy. And we are so happy to present tonight to all of you. I'm going to hand the mic over to Tony. It looks like Tony has somebody in his office trying to get some information, but he's going to take it from here, and I will be watching the chat. Please put your questions in the chat so that I can feed them up to our guests as we move to the last part of the segment. Hey, Tony, thank you, and thank you, guests, and have fun. I'm going to hop off.
Thank you, Linda. As always, sorry I had somebody pop in the office. Me and Ari are in the building, so if me and Ari get distracted, it's because we got students hanging around. But welcome into the Be On Air Forum, guys. Linda, thank you as always for your great introduction, and we appreciate everyone for being here. As you guys know, this forum is for the students and for non-students, and so people who may not be coming to one of our campuses or may be interested in just media in itself can be in the building. So we appreciate all of you that are also here as well. So it's going to be an awesome hour. Listen, I'm not going to lie to all three of y'all. I was excited to do this forum with you guys. We got 3 filmmakers in the building, and I have like 50 questions. I'm kidding. I had a couple questions for you guys to talk about. It's an exciting time, obviously, in media. And so Cyrus, Raheem, and Ari, you guys are awesome. Again, excited to talk to all 3 of you. Before we do begin, I just want to remind everyone out there, we are going to have a Q&A session at the 45-minute mark of this webinar. We are going to be on for an hour. And so when we get to that session, we encourage everyone out there that's listening or watching to write down their questions in the comment section. And we will get to as many of them as we possibly can. I do also like to do the shout outs as well. If there is time for it, I'll shout out everyone who's been commenting and so forth. So please engage with us, enjoy the hour, and let's have a good time with our three pros in the industry. But let's start it off, guys. Listen, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm a sports media guy. I'm a podcaster. But filmmaking takes a lot of talent, a lot of open ideas, and a lot of creativity. And you three bring all that to the table. So I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go ladies first, guys, if you don't mind. We're gonna go kick it to Ari real quick. Ari, first of all, talk about why filmmaking was the thing that you chose. I mean, you can do a lot, but you're a filmmaker. You do on campus. You have a workshop, a filmmaking workshop, and it's packed almost every week. I see it literally with my own eyes here on campus. Why did you choose filmmaking?
I honestly think filmmaking chose me in a way, right? So I used to make music back in the day. So I consider myself a storyteller, right? So telling stories no matter what platform it's on, right? But with songwriting, I was a songwriter for a while. You get like 2 minutes, right, to tell that story that you're trying to tell in that song, right? And normally you give it off to somebody else to then do and make it be what you wanted to do. But I used to watch films all the time, and I thought I was the only one, but I used to go home and like dream of what happens to these characters after the credits roll, right? But I had never dreamt of being a filmmaker. And then I was able to get on somebody's set, and I said, "Oh, I want to do that." So yeah, and it's been a journey. It's one of the probably most expensive jobs that I probably could have chosen to do, but it's so rewarding. And to as a songwriter, sometimes you're in your own brain, but as a filmmaker, I'm able to collaborate with a bunch of brilliant people who bring amazing things. So it is an amazing venture to go on. And if I had the choice, I would have been a lawyer making like bank right now, but God had other plans, I guess.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. That's awesome to hear, Ari. You know, Raheem, I'm gonna kick it to you on this one. Same question. Like, why filmmaking? What drives you to continue to create in this industry?
Well, really, I just like to create. So, like, I'm a graphic designer by original trait. So it's like, yeah, making movies for me was the very next step, and I wanted to learn the back end first. I'm an indie pro wrestler as well, so acting on the fly is really nothing to me. It comes pretty natural, but the behind the scenes and how does a gaffer's role um, you know helps the set, and how does the audio engineer role help the director, and those moving parts, and how we all can come together and create this one thing. I just fell in love with it, and also I could do it again. I could do takes over and over and over, and it's not live.
Got you. I got you. You got that no quit mentality when it comes to that.
Yeah, I'm kind of known for doing the takes over. I'm like, yeah, that was good, but let's do it again.
I hear you. Cyrus, what about you? Why filmmaking?
Yeah, I think I was heavily influenced by my older sister. She was 7 years older than me, and she was a comedian, and well, she acted like a comedian. She was really big into In Living Color, and she would just be very clownish around me all the time. Then I would go around my friends, then I would be the class clown. It's like, where are you getting this from? So that's when we started getting cameras and coming up with ideas, and we thought we were funny. So we're like, let's record this stuff. So yeah, it didn't stop. We loved it so much. And that's how you get far in the industry, is making sure you love what you do, and you just naturally get better at it.
That's awesome, man. I take this in filmmaking. I know this part of the industry, at least when it comes to filmmaking and creating, is it's very intense and very specific. You got to have a lot of stuff in order. There's a groundbreaking foundation you need to have before you even start shooting. I'm sure of it. And so my next progression of questions here, I'm gonna go to Raheem for this one. And we'll go around the table on this. What's one thing that you need that it's essential to you to start filmmaking? If you're a director, right? And what's the one thing that you would tell someone right now? What's the first thing you think you need to do to start that project, to start that idea, to start that story? What's that concept for you?
Writing it down. Making sure that you have a strong plan in place to start any project, especially film. So, I mean, my first step for sure is writing that idea down, writing out, and continue adding to it until you think you have, a script. Like I'll write a whole bunch of ideas down before I even start writing a script. I call it the pre-production to pre-production. It's just the idea tank, in every, like I tell my students, they go, well, I don't have a camera. Well, you have your phone. You're walking around with your phone every day. You think of a skit, you write it down, and you write enough to it. Put your phone, you put your phone on a tripod, have somebody else hold your phone. You hold your phone and you pick and you get actors, and it's the drive to do it. So yeah, my answer to that very first thing is just write down your ideas, make sure you have everything written down so you can go back to it and execute it.
What about you, Cyrus? What's that look like for you?
What comes first is a story. You must have a story you are passionate about, because if you're not passionate about it, you're going to come across obstacles and then it's going to be easy to quit. But if you have a story that you must tell, I must tell this story, then nothing is going to stop you. And a lot of people don't have strong stories and they think that they can add talent or have a higher budget and it's still not going to be good enough, because ever since, mankind and Aristotle and all of them, it's all about storytelling. So people are kind of fading away from that. I see it in Hollywood that they're struggling. And so if you want to set yourself apart, be a screenwriter that has creativity, and then now you're very valuable because we're looking for stories,
Yeah. No, that's good right there. I like that, Cyrus. Ari, what about you?
Oh, I'm going to go, because I started off as a screenwriter, so I'm going to go with that route, right? One, I need to know how it ends, right? Right, with the end in mind, right? Because you don't want your character just be going on this aimless journey and don't know how you get to the end point, right? And then I think sometimes and then every scene needs to move the story forward, right? Sometimes I see a lot of students there just include scenes because they think it's a cool scene to have, but does it move this character's journey forward? And then you have to have some kind of conflict in it, and that's to piggyback off of having a good story for sure. You need to know where you're going in terms of the script, in terms of character, and I like to write with what I have available as an independent filmmaker, right? So if I don't have access to the Taj Mahal, I'm not going to write a script where the Taj Mahal is in it, right? You have to be a bit more realistic, and your producers will love you for it.
That's good. That's good 3 points right there that you guys made to get that going, right? And again, a lot of the times, people get, and I've seen it, I'm sure you guys have as well, where people get intimidated by the process, right, of be able to create it first, then getting into the actual shoot. So once we get through that stage of filmmaking, now we're getting ready to get your crew and start shooting. So ideally, Ari, I'm going to ask you first. What does a crew look like for you? You can compare it to a short film production or maybe a bigger production with a bigger budget. What does that look like for you when it comes to a crew, and what do you need as a director per se?
I need for sure a first AD, for sure. A lot of times, sometimes I end up having to do that role too, because I've done that role on other people's set. A DP, right, and a DP where you are aligned in terms of vision, in terms of goal, and DP. I need. You were asking in terms of crew.
Yeah, like what's the crew look like? What are your
Yeah.
essential people that you need? Yeah.
Yeah, so director, AD, DP. If the DP is going to shoot, that's great. And then producer and PAs. So that's like the bare bones for me in terms of a set.
Does that look similar to you, Raheem?
Yeah. I mean, because I'm usually the guy that producers call um to be either director or DP. Um, so my crew kind of looks similar to hers. I mean, I focus more on audio because I got the visuals down pat. You know, I want to I want to make sure that I have a couple external components that are focusing on audio. Um, you know, and that's just my history of being in this industry so far. Audio is essential. You can have great visuals and terrible audio, and no one's gonna watch it. No matter how good the visuals are, you can have explosions and everything. Your audio is not right, then it'll fall apart fast. So I mean, when it comes to crew, yeah, I'm focusing on all those things, but more so for me, I'm focusing more on if I have that audio help.
I like that. I like that. Another facet there. It's good. Cyrus, what about you? What's essential for you when you're filmmaking the crew?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. If you look at the different productions and see who's professional, it really comes down to audio a lot, and you can just see what if it sounds like it's in a bathroom or a hallway, it's windy, things like that. So if you get your audio up, that's really what sets you apart. But for my crew, I've been working with my crew for over 3 years, and that's what I look for: people who have worked together. So mishaps don't happen if we're all working together on a project for the first time. It's going to be personality clashes, or I do this, I prefer that. It's going to take away from the productivity. So if you can get teams that have worked together before, they are going to be more creative, receive feedback better, and you're probably going to get a better outcome because you don't have to worry about conflict management. You're focused on how to make things better.
Yeah, your crew is very important. I've seen many shoots before, and without that that crew, right? Without that crew, things can take a while, or things cannot go correctly as you guys have planned. So that's really good. And as we continue to talk through this conversation about what filmmaking looks like from scratch, right, from the idea to the crew itself, talk to us more. All three of you, talk to us about maybe filming on a budget. What do you really need to film? Do you need expensive gear, or can you get things done with go to the lowest level to your phone? So what does that look like for you? If somebody is on a budget and they want to create film, I'll start Ari. What's that look like for you?
Yeah, for sure. Creating on a budget, you can use your phone, right? You can use your phone and you can use your friends. I think what you need is the creativity to do so, the ambition to do so, and make sure everybody is aligned. What is a non-negotiable for me on set is food, right? Especially if you have a budget and you can't pay people, or you can't pay them, what their normal rates are, feed them well, right? So from the actors to talent, all of that, just to show your appreciation in that way. But yeah, you can film with what you have, and if you don't have it, like if you don't have the audio equipment, you can go rent it. There's plenty of places here in Chicago you can do online. You can go and rent it for cheap, right? I've borrowed equipment from people to use. So when you really want to do something, you find where your resources are, and you'd be surprised of who will help you out if you have a dream, a passion, and the will to get it done.
That's nice. Cyrus, what about you? What does a budget look like to you, or what equipment would you refer people over to?
Exactly. I would say that constraints create creativity. And so remember that. So you're not discouraged that you don't have enough, this, that, and the other. And I like to work with people who overcome obstacles and they know how to use what they've got. So, I mean, I used to be a good example is I used to be a baseball coach, and all these kids have expensive bats and they're striking out with expensive bats. So like, who cares? You know, so what kind of camera you got? Who cares? When we go to these film festivals and there's a winner, no one's like, oh, they won because they had this camera. Again, it comes down to the story and the art direction and the directing and all that stuff. So you need to have this mindset that I'm not going to stop and I'm going to make it work. And that is the beauty of being a producer, as Ari kind of touched on, that if you really want to do something, the world will conspire for things to come and land in your way to help support you. But if you're pessimistic, then you're not going to get those things and you're going to stay stuck. So I encourage everyone to just, have passion, make a plan, and move forward with confidence. That's huge. Just like a sport, if you don't have confidence on the basketball court, you ain't making no shots, no threes, no free throws. You have to pursue things with confidence to get results.
I like that. Don't have me running through a brick wall, bro. Relax, man. Raheem, what about you, man? What's what would you recommend on a budget?
I kind of agree with both of them there. Especially what Ari was saying, if you think you have a low budget or you don't have enough to pay, your actors and stuff like that, have food and beverages covered without a shadow of a doubt. But really put creativity first. Put the work first. Because when you put creativity first, when you put your work ethic first, everything else is going to fall into place. Don't worry. Just like with he said, don't worry about the biggest and expensive camera, because you have your phone. The new movie 28 years later, most of it was shot on the iPhone. I mean, it was like 32 iPhones, but they were shot on iPhones. I seen a rig and they had like 18 iPhones connected to one rig, and I was like, that's crazy. But even the major companies are trying to save money and lower their budgets by using lower costing equipment. So when you are thinking budget, think what you can do the least, right? What's going to cost the least amount to do first, and work your way up from there.
That's awesome. I mean, it's doable, right? What I'm hearing is It is very doable. You don't need anything insane to start a process, especially if you're starting from scratch. And so I like all the ideas you guys presented. I mean, it's with the technology nowadays, there's so much that's possible, which is amazing. It's great. We're not back in the 60s and 80s where things took a while to get done, right? And a lot of things were needed to be able to create film, and to create ideas. And so it's good to hear. One thing that always hits me, guys, especially for filmmaking people in this industry, is how COVID changed the way you all do anything now, and how the industry changed itself. We're talking about to the top level. Cyrus, I'll go to you first. Just two questions, and this for all of you. First, were you affected by COVID in regard to your creativity and how you moved in filmmaking? And second, how did you adjust?
Actually, I started my short films around 2021. So I've got 7 short films I've completed so far. So I was just, we're just getting out of it, if you put it that way. And then that's when I started, getting more serious about my production. So I wouldn't say I was necessarily affected by it, but I saw the projects that were. And, my advice would be, as I say to others, is develop while you wait. If something gets delayed and pushed back, I see a lot of people just stay stagnant. Like, make an opportunity out of that. You can get better some type of way. And then when things get back on track, you're even better than you would have been if it first was produced on time. So you can use these setbacks to your advantage. You got to stay optimistic out there.
Nice. Raheem, were you affected by COVID at all?
I actually got back into filmmaking during COVID. I started my filmmaking journey before COVID, stopped for a little bit, and then I was I was a store manager of a Staples when COVID happened. I had to go to work every day. I didn't really have a COVID, uh, but I started my filmmaking journey back in during COVID, and so I really wasn't affected by COVID. It was more of a wake up call for me, like why, like you should be creating in this moment where the world is at a standstill.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't stop, and I think we saw.
I think I froze. I don't know if
slightly. Yeah, we got most of it though. Can you hear us, Ryan? Amen. Ari, can you hear me? And Cyrus,
Yep, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, Raheem, can you hear me now? Are you good? Okay, I think he's trying to work out his module there. We'll continue forward, and Linda, if you might want to.
I think everything froze here. Are you guys there?
We're
Yep,
here.
we can hear you.
All right. Yeah. So COVID really, I really wasn't affected by COVID. Like I said, COVID was more of a wake up call for me to do more.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I was mentioning how during COVID, in COVID, we saw a plethora of new ideas come out, and this we're at home. Everyone was home, right? And so there was a lot of different things that were trying to be made, and then of course we saw a lot of reruns come out as well. So it was an interesting time for the industry to find out how to get through it. But the show must go on, as you mentioned. Ari, what about you?
During the height of COVID, I was working for a production company, and we were doing live events and we were doing live streaming shows every day. So that kind of shut us down because we couldn't be in the studios as much. So then we had to go virtual. But in terms of like the filmmaking thing, it is added in those few years after COVID, it added a lot more procedures that we had to adhere to, like getting people tested. I had a short we were shooting, and the morning of, the lead actress called and said, "Hey, I have COVID-like symptoms," and we had to like shut everything down. We couldn't shoot that day until she was able to get tested. But it'll made me have to learn how to pivot a lot, right? So like Cyrus said, when we're not, since we can't shoot that day, what else can we do that supports this project, right? Can we do photos of the other talent? Can we do another rehearsal? Like, what can we do to make everything still move? And it really helped. It made me more creative because then I started couldn't leave the house, so started doing like one location, one person kind of film challenges, right? Which makes you kind of think outside of the box. So I think it helped in creativity. And that's what I tell students as well. When they don't have access to these locations, they don't have access to budgets, pick one location, 2 actors, and shoot a film that way, right? It forces you to have to rely on a really good story rather than a bunch of fancy locations. So I think in that case, it allowed us to improve in a way.
No, it's good. It most definitely did, and into that, a lot of ideas were brought to the table to change the way you guys do things. I'll transition in real quick to these next set of questions. But before I do that, I do want to remind everybody out there that at the 45-minute mark of this webinar, we are going to have a Q&A session. So please keep writing your chats. We see you guys in the chat. The weekend, Namia's in here, Tim Vaughn's in here. We also saw a couple more people that have been talking to us. Felix as well. We see you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And Roni, hopefully I said that right. Roni, hopefully I said that right. As in the chat. So thank you guys all for being here. Be ready for that Q&A session at the 45-minute mark. Going out of COVID, right? The one thing that we started to see a lot of, which has scared a lot of people, and the idea of creativity is the acronym or the word AI. And I'm gonna touch base on AI with you guys in a bit. But what we have seen a lot of now, because of budgets, because of people, and then COVID, is a lot of films being green screened. Like before, we saw people, at least from our understanding, crews were out on the scene in the forest. They were out in the woods, right, out in factories and in real elements. Now, you guys know this as filmmakers, a lot of it's just green screen. I mean, and it's incredible how real it looks. Tell me why that's the case, number one, when it comes to using CGI and green screen, and how do you think it's affected the industry? Is it a positive or is it a con? I'll start with Raheem. How do you feel about CGI, green screen, and the use of it?
First and foremost, I'm a big CGI fan. I'm a big, computer generated graphics fan, because you can't always get these locations. Like, you can't always block off a street. You can't always, be inside of a courtroom or build one, or be inside of a precinct or build one, right? So having CGI or AI created sets is kind of a small asset in the realm of when you don't have access to these these real life, tangible, physical things or locations. Now, using it as a foundation is kind of dangerous. I don't agree with that, but definitely using it as a tool or an asset in your arsenal, definitely viable and useful to me.
Yeah, that's good. And for you, and Raheem, for you, it's been a positive, right? For the industry, CGI has been a positive for the viewing public.
Absolutely. Because you wouldn't have movies like Avengers or any Marvel movie, period. You wouldn't have it without CGI or some type of AI generated graphic.
All right, how do you feel about it?
Well, it's always existed, right? Now it's just more accessible, especially in the independent film space, right? Where you would have to go like Avatar, all that kind of stuff, right? We can do things like that now with like Unreal Engine and VR and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it enhances what you can do without like going through Hollywood, quote unquote. You know what I mean? So I think it's a positive thing. It allows independent creators to be way more creative and really push the limits of what they can create. And yeah, green screen. And one thing about green screen, some people think it's really easy. It has to be lit well. It has to be done well in order for it to be effective, right? So if you got the person outside, you need to light them as if they were outside. So when you do that match, it actually works. But yeah, I think it's great. And it allows people to really be free and let their minds roam and then actually have the access to create the thing.
Nice. I mean, Cyrus, go ahead. I wanted to ask you the same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I encourage it. Whatever helps, filmmakers be more creative. And the main thing I'll say is, people are having a lot of conversations over AI, and I will give everyone the the word to learn how to work with AI, so you don't lose your jobs. People are like, oh, AI is doing this and that. Well, if you know how to work with CGI, if you know how to work with this type of computer, if you know VR and this and that, that's how you keep your job. So things aren't replacing you. So learn how to use this digital technology that is growing on a daily, weekly basis. Keep up to date with it. And then you will be the guy that people, or the person that people want to hire, to work with, because you got the knowledge and the skill set.
It's one of those things that, there's always changes in anything, right? There's always shifts. There's always evolution. There's always, you grow, you change with the times. And I think in anything. And so as we talk about, CGI and green screen, and Raheem, you made a great point. Me being a huge Marvel fan, we wouldn't have that, like you said, with that great production. And if you're not really looking at it, with a close eye, you're not really noticing any of that stuff. And so, very true points. But the one thing that I've seen, and this is in regards to AI, is the fear of losing jobs, the fear of losing opportunity, right? The fear of losing creativity. That's something that I've heard a lot of conversations about, because right now, even before this webinar, I was on TikTok and I'm watching AI videos of fake people that look real talking to aliens about human beings. And it just looks so real. They're in Times Square, you got people walking in the back. Like, it's insane how AI seems so real. So I want to ask you guys, filmmakers, how do you feel about AI? How do you evolutionize with it? And how do you work with AI in itself? Is it gonna take jobs? Give me your thoughts on AI in general in your industry. We'll start with Ari.
Like what Cyrus said, right? Learn how to work with it. But I'm a huge proponent for using AI because it allows me to focus on the creative things, right? So like the mundane stuff that I may have to do, like scheduling, like some of the pre-production stuff that I may have to tackle that aren't that glamorous, that pulls me away from some of the creative things. I can use AI to help with that, right? For maybe, well, I don't really use it for editing, but yeah, there are ways to, and even with editing, you have the generative, like expand and things like that. So I think if you use it well, it can be a great assistant with you, right? So it's kind of like we don't use carrier pigeons anymore to deliver messages, right? We've evolved with technology, and I think that there is a place, if used correctly, to then do it. I'm not a proponent of it writing scripts for us, because I think there is a human nuance that is needed for screenwriters. You know what I mean? The heart of the thing, and AI does not have that. So I think it has its place to be a great assistant in terms of logistics, all that. That's what I use it mainly for.
Yeah, I was going to ask you before I went to the fellas here. How do you use AI in your shoots? But what did you say again?
I use it to help scheduling. So say I'm on set and I don't have an AD and I don't have time to put through a schedule. It'll give me a schedule, and then I'll go like a base schedule, and then I'll make it work from there. You know what I mean? Yeah, like sometimes even if it's a quick shoot, I may say, hey, this is the project, give me like a basic shot list for it, right? And then I can build and be more creative with the creative shots and stuff from there. I've used it a lot in generating treatments. So generating like images for treatments, images for storyboards, that kind of stuff. I found it very useful. So it's not as time consuming, because I will say finding images for storyboards, if you don't know how to draw, can take a lot of time. So AI has definitely helped in shortening the amount of time that takes.
I like it. What about you, Raheem? How do you feel about AI as a whole in your industry? And do you think it's a pro or a con?
So AI as a whole, the way I would use it, well, the way I use it is storyboarding. I take my script and I generate storyboards with it. Also, when I'm creating my pitch decks, is for visuals that I don't have. If I'm not, if I don't have the time to create the visuals for certain things, I'll use AI to assist me in doing that. So it definitely is a pro when it comes to time management, and using your time wisely and what you can use AI for. But definitely, I make sure I have the human components in a lot of my things before I go to AI, because like just AI, the A stands for artificial. It's artificial intelligence. So it definitely has, what it generates comes from a human first.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Cyrus, how does AI, I know you spoke a little bit upon it, but, is it a pro or con to you, and how do you use it?
Yeah, I would say it's a pro overall, and everyone should kind of just have a deeper awareness while they're using it. This could probably be a debate between old school people and you new youngins, So for me, I'm never going to let AI write a word on my script ever. I want all it to come from my heart and my mind and my creativity. So however people can use AI to make their project better, that's on them. So, everyone just choose whatever works for them. And if I don't want to do something, then I don't want to do it. And if you do it, that's your business, so everyone just get in where you fit in, and I'm cool with it. And it, just make sure that you are in control of it.
And those are all great points. I want to ask, and anybody can answer this, as we stick to the topic of AI. I see the chat starting to ramp up about the AI thing here. Namia says, I agree. I'm not a fan of AI. Ronnie says, I'm not going to use it for a first script. I'm not sure yet. I just need to get a good story together. Lucas says, is it only generative AI of content that we should be critical of them? That's a good question. We'll answer that actually in a bit. But I want to ask you guys, do you guys see AI taking jobs, right? I mean, I know we almost know the answer to that question, but really in your industry, when it comes to filmmaking, is AI going to take some gigs away?
Well, but who's behind the AI? Like who's inputting the information into the AI that is doing that job? That's a position. Somebody is getting paid to do that. So I don't think it'll take jobs if you know how to use AI, how to have it do what the client or the production company wants to do. You still have a job. AI is not using AI is not talking to AI.
Yeah, I would say that again, be careful with it, but it's kind of different on a film project, because let's say you got a 30-day shoot, a 1-week shoot, people got a team and then they kind of disperse. It's like a family that gets built and you got to do your project and then you're done. So to the other companies though, AI is taking jobs because AI doesn't get tired and it makes less mistakes, and you can manage it better over maybe a person's personality. So to all the corporations out there, yes, they are looking to incorporate AI so that they can save money and be more efficient. So how does that transfer to, the film industry? I'm not sure so much, because like I said, this is not a career thing. This is like a project by project basis. So however you need AI for that project is going to be different. But, you got Intel or IBM and all these meta companies out here. Yeah, they're going to implement it permanently, moving forward. So it's a case by case, in my opinion.
Yeah. And Ari, I'm sorry, were you going to say something, Ari?
No, I was just going to say I haven't seen it as much in the indie circuit, but I have worked with people that have said that they've seen AI take over a bit in the VFX front, right? Because AI can do so many of these things that people would sit at hours at computers generating. But yeah, I think if you learn how to work alongside of it or make yourself valuable alongside of it, you'll be able to survive it.
Yeah, and it's almost a tough conversation to have, right? Because some people are paranoid, right? Or some people are talk about it and they get down on themselves because they think they can't get things done. But the moral of the story is, stay creative, right? Don't let that affect you in any way possible. Make sure that you are still doing what you need to do and putting it out there, because again, it is one of those things that your creativity cannot be duplicated. It is yours. It is your idea. You're the one that's going to manage that, and you have to have the ability to put that crew together, get that story, like you guys were saying, that idea together, and push it out there. So, never fear is the message. Okay, yeah, for all those of you out there that had those concerns. We're approaching our Q&A session here real quick in a bit, but before we get to it, I wanted to give the floor to you guys in regard to what advice would you give to just anybody out there in general who wants to start creating a short film, who wants to join the film industry, who's maybe scared or intimidated by all the facets of the industry, right? And the layers. You guys know there's layers to this. Some movies take about 5 years to make, 10 years. Short films can take up to 2 years to make. I mean, this really depends on what you're doing. So what encouragement would you give to students and non-students out there when they want to join the filmmaking industry? I'll start first with Cyrus. What would your advice be?
To make sure you know your why you're doing this, because you're going to go through obstacles like crazy. And if you don't got a strong enough purpose or why, I mentioned this before, you're going to quit. But if you got a strong why, whether it's I'm doing this for God, I'm doing this for my family, or I just love what I'm doing, I have a story that must be told, you will overcome obstacles. So I try to, when people want to work with me, I kind of sit back and let me see how far you go on your own. Let me see if you really want to do this before you get all excited. So I like working with people who have shown that they've been stress tested is the word. And now I know, oh, he's for real. He's going to make it through whatever comes his way. So make sure you know your why, because I see a lot of people who put money first, and this might not be the industry that you get the money really quick. So if you don't get the money, then I'm going to go do something else now. See, you didn't love this. You were just doing it for a certain reason, which was not the right reason to keep you going. So I'll end with that. Yeah, make sure you know why you're doing it and stick with that.
Like that. Ari.
Go and make the thing, right? So sometimes we get, I talk to students and they're like, they think that making a movie is this like huge thing because they've gone to the theaters and made them, right? Go make a 1 minute micro short, right? To get your feet wet and to see how hard this thing can be. And that comparison kills creativity, right? So make the thing that is in your heart to make, the story, like Cyrus says, that you have to tell, and go make it and be good with that, right? And then go make another one, and then go make another one, right? So that you get better and better and better and better. Like, don't say, okay, my first one has to be like a Hollywood caliber film, because it probably is not going to be. You might look at it a year later and be like, oh my God, this sucked. But you made another one and another one and another one, and now you're so much better. You make one film, you're technically a filmmaker at that point, right?
Absolutely. I was about to ask my guy here, and he just dipped on us. He was like, I'm done. Well, while we continue, yeah, he was definitely having some small issues there. But we did have, we're going to enter our Q&A session. Everybody in the chat right now that's writing, ask any questions, and we're going to answer them right now. Raheem, if he gets on, we'll get back to him shortly. But I knew there was one question here that somebody put. I kind of asked it already in the chat. But the question was from Lucas. Lucas says, is it only generative AI of content that we should be critical of then?
I'll let Ari go.
So I'm assuming Lucas is meaning like content that makes things, right? So that generates images, all of that stuff. And like I said before, I feel like you can use that as an asset, especially as an independent artist, right? We may not have access or the budget to go to the big studios. So I say use it, understand what information you are giving it in order for it to make the thing. But I don't see why not. I mean, if the big dogs are taking advantage of it, why shouldn't you?
Yeah, I say it's, up to how you feel about it. I'll say this, though. I'm working on my film project, and it has to do with sleep paralysis. Mm-hmm. And it's a psychological thriller. And I've seen some footage generated by AI. It's unbelievably amazing. And it's like, I kind of think like no human mind could have thought of this. Think about maybe like The Ring. When you see scary movies, they kind of crawling and their arms are kind of upside down and backwards and stuff. And you might see that in AI when it's generated. Someone might have 6 fingers, or their hands be holding, but it's like a different person's hand. You see these small errors in it if you got a good eye. And so you can use that. It works very well in the creepy world, because then, you know, people's eyes aren't right if you really want to be creepy. So, you know, it's one of those things like, am I cheating? Am I cheating because I'm using this computer to come up with, you know, visuals? You know, so you got to ask yourself in the heart on that one.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. The next question is over here from Felix, and he says, for the table, and Ronnie says that's a loaded question. Favorite movie or TV series?
That's a hard one.
I can't name one. It
You
will
may
be
need 10
unfair
minutes
to
for
pick one.
I will say one that is high on my list that I really enjoyed, that really was like, oh, that's the type of thing that I want to make, was Queen Sugar, by Ava DuVernay. I had read the book at first, and so when I heard that they were coming out with the film, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. So that the Black family content where you get like realistic view of what it's like in our culture, you know what I mean? But you have this uplifting moments. That's the kind of stuff that I want to make. So that's one that I can think of. Maybe not my favorite of all time, but one that was crucial in the types of stories that I wanted to tell.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rattle off a couple just to be fair. Scarface is number one, guys. Scarface. American Beauty is a beautiful movie. I got Glory on there with Denzel Washington. Forrest Gump is unbelievable. Fight Club, Stare of Echoes. There's something called The Imitation of Life. It's an old school movie. Some Alfred Hitchcock ones. Strangers on a Train is unbelievable.
Strangers on a Train is good. That's a good
Okay,
one.
see, not many people have seen that, so thank you. When I was late to see that, I was like, oh my goodness, this is timeless. Like, when you put stuff out way back then, and then now we got all this more creativity, and we still can't top you from back in the 40s or whatever it was. You know, that's very impressive. So yeah, I did my research a little bit on some classic films.
That's awesome.
Interstellar was a good one too, and I was late to the party on that one too, but it was good.
Yeah.
I like that. There was not my favorite movie, but there was one that kind of had the same concept. It was with Chris Evans from the Avengers. He was on a train. Can you guys remind me of what that was? Do you remember? And the train the world was cold, and basically they created this train to move and stay.
It starts with an S.
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer. Yes.
There you go. Yes. That was a very interesting movie. We've seen the concept before, but I like how they advanced all the, it was basically you're in the back of the bus to get to the front of the bus to see who ran it, and it was a good film. That's awesome. I got the comment section is going crazy now. Saving Private Ryan. What else? Oh, Snowpiercer. Yeah, thank you, Cheeky, for that. Who else? Did anybody put anything else in here? Forrest Gump is probably their favorite. That's Ronnie. And then Grandman actually asked a question as well. Grandma's asking, what producer would you want to work with if there was a producer there that you want to work with?
Man, who I'd want to learn from? I'm more into like directors and screenwriters. I don't even know that many names. A lot of directors are producers too. Yeah. So, James Cameron is a producer, director. Hey, Steven Spielberg is a producer. Alan Ball is the screenwriter of American Beauty. So a lot of people don't get credit, but if you're a director out here, you're probably going to have some producer responsibilities as well. So, those are just some that come to mind. Spike Lee is a director, but producer too.
Big on the Spike Lee.
Big one.
Is Raheem back in the building?
I'm back. I had to switch cameras and locations, but we're good.
All good, all good.
The life of a filmmaker, I'm kind of used to it.
Yeah.
Roll with the punches. Roll with the punches. Raheem, we were just talking. We were in our Q&A session here, and one of the questions that was asked is, "What was your favorite? What's your favorite film or TV series? Do you have one in mind?"
Favorite film, without a shadow of a doubt, 300. And as my son wants to chime in here, what's your favorite movie, buddy?
Minecraft the movie.
Minecraft the movie. There you go. That's his favorite one. For me, like I said, for me it's gonna be 300. Malcolm X was a good one for me. I liked. I like a lot of period pieces and true stories. So like Coach Carter's and stuff like that.
Very nice, very nice. They also
also Lean on Me. It was the first time I watched. The first time I seen. I'm pretty sure for a lot of people it was the first time they seen Morgan Freeman. But that was the first time I seen Morgan Freeman, and I'm like, man, this guy doesn't age.
Absolutely, man. No, those are good. That's good. I like your 300 one though. 300 was nice. That movie was definitely eye-opening and one of the first to use the amount of CGI that they used ever. Right? I mean, that was like we had never seen something like that. Am I tweaking? Or
Yeah.
Right.
No. For sure. That was one of the most for the CGI that I've seen in a long time. When I did see 300.
Yeah, without a doubt. Chit Chat, Nikki is in the building. She asks, "What actor would you hire for one of your films?" Ooh, got you guys smiling on that one. What's up? What actor?
I would love to work with Anjanae Ellis Taylor or Taylor Ellis. I forget. She hyphenated it. But I would love to work with her.
Very nice. Cyrus?
I don't know if I'm worthy enough, but I'm going to have to say Denzel Washington is the most gifted, granted talent in applied passion combination. Like he is, I think Sidney Poitier passed it down to him. It's just like you are the next face of what acting should be. And he's acting on Broadway, like live. You can't make mistakes. You got takes in the film world, and then when you're on stage acting, you really got to be on, and he's doing both. So that man is blessed.
I can't say nothing else. It is so true. It's so true. Raheem?
I'm gonna say Idris Elba, man. I'll top him with Idris Elba. To me, he can't do no wrong. Every movie he's in, whether if it's comical, serious, he gives me Denzel Washington vibes. So yeah, like for me it would be Idris Elba. I was gonna go with Denzel, but he said Denzel, so I'm gonna use Idris Elba.
I stole that answer, baby.
The chat's giving us some names too. Our DJ is in the building. William Dafoe, is in the building. Michael B. Jordan is another one that would be fun to work with. I don't know if you guys have seen Sinners yet, but he freaking killed that movie. He did a great job. If you haven't seen it,
career highlight for Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, for sure.
Sinners was the career highlight. Like this is his peak. I feel like we're about to watch Michael B. Jordan just take off in another way that we haven't seen Michael B. Jordan. I was watching Michael B. Jordan since he was on All My Children. So a
lot of people don't know that he started out really young. And he's probably mad that he's got to live under Michael Jordan. So he's like, let me make my name for my own damn self.
Yes. Don't forget the B.
Exactly.
Don't forget the B. And we got time for one more question here. This is from Lucas. He says, "How far do you prep / take a spec submission, script, treatment, proof of concept, short film? How far do you take an idea before you know it is or isn't going to happen?" Anybody can go first on this one.
I just jump in the pool, man. Like so if I have ideas and stuff like that, I'll limit my location sometimes just so I can be forced to write something good. So like I'll be like, all right, cool, we're gonna use a lobby and an elevator. I gotta write something good, and I kind of just go with it, like just if it's gonna be a movie, if it's gonna be a short film, everything for me is just short. I don't work with features yet. Like I wrote a feature. My first ever film was a feature, and I said I'll never do it again unless it's right. My first ever film was a feature film, and I was like, nope, not doing that again. I'm gonna go with shows and short films. But yeah, like just nobody's gonna believe in your idea more than you are. So just go with it, And like I would agree with Cyrus and I have a good buddy. His name is TJ. He says, if you think you have something great, right, it's right below that. You just have to push it to be great.
That's good stuff, man. I love that. We're gonna end it on that amazing quote that Raheem just dropped on us here. And so when it comes to filmmaking, got all three of you, you guys have really pushed the envelope, and I've seen some of your projects. You guys are really are leading our students and just peers around you and what you guys do. And I respect you all. I mean, the patience you have to create film, right, from scratch, from the beginning to the end, is immense. And so all of you portray that, and it is awesome to see. So we really appreciate all three of you being on the forum today. Again, we hope to have you back soon. Hopefully we can, Linda, I know if you put their information in the chat for the people who are there. And, I know they can follow you on social media, but we just appreciate all three of you again, and hope to see big projects coming from all three of you very soon. With that said, we're going to kick it back to Linda, who's going to close us out. Linda, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, I want to tell you something. That was such a great hour, and I wanted to jump on stage so many times and say, wow, what great points you're making. Thank you, all of you. You shared such great information for somebody who's just getting started or somebody who's already been in the field a little bit and is developing. I love the idea about just do it. Get that 1 minute thing going, get that 2 minute thing going, and build on it. Every time you create better the next time, or you think differently the next time. So such valuable points. And I encourage everybody, the names of our roundtable are in the chat. Ari, I apologize. I think I called you Ariel when I first introduced you, and that was totally wrong. I apologize. We have Ariana here, and I'm sorry for that error. But find them on LinkedIn. You can see their profiles. You can check out the work they're doing, their production companies, and reach out. If you have a question, really send a message with the question, and I'm sure that you'll hear back. So once more, thank you for an amazing hour and then some. And we look forward to chatting more with you in the future, and stick around after we hang up for a quick minute. But for our guests, thank you for being here tonight on the Be On Air Forum. And Tony, as always, bravo. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.